Oh, are you ready? Let me start off.
No,
Sorry.
no, I was waiting for it to come on. You're good to go. We're live now. Um,
Okay. Well, I see you
welcome,
doing your head.
welcome everybody to the first show of Expeditions for Answers for the year of 2021. We're hoping she does not celebrate like I did when I turned 21 and get drunk and just be worse than 2020. Um, looking for a great show tonight. We have a wonderful guest I had the pleasure to go out with yesterday, and we'll have possibly a couple more people joining us here. I am going to do a little spreading the word here and put the show out. And then, as soon as, or while I'm doing that, I'm going to let each and every person that's on here, which is Big Dog, Amanda, and Mandy, talk about themselves. Big Dog and Amanda, you guys go first. And then, Mandy, I want you to let everybody know about your background.
Okay. You want me to go first or who?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Big dog. I do podcasts. Uh, just pretty much anything strange, anything from ghosts to puck wedgies to Bigfoot to UFOs to whatever, anything spooky and crazy.
Yeah.
I'm in it. And then I also co-host on another podcast called Mysterious Woods with Ann Walls, and that's pretty much it. We do pretty much the same thing. Talk about Bigfoot and stuff.
Hmm.
And that's what we do. I've been into this for a long time, ever since a kid, since I was a kid. So just keep on keeping the dream alive.
That's all we can do, brother.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I like that you do the paranormal stuff. I live in a 120-year cottage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, she's got an awesome video. Man, if you could, you might be able to, like, a little bit later in the show, maybe we could get you to send that to me,
Okay.
and I can put it on screen share. It depends on how long the it is, but I mean, she showed me this video, and there's no doorway. I mean, I won't even describe it, but I have no description for it from her house. I mean, there's no way I can debunk it.
Oh wow. Yeah, some of the stuff that if you can't debunk it, then what is it? It's got to be real.
No door.
Well,
His
gotta be
camera in
real.
my
Are you
kitchen.
being a smartass?
No.
If you can't debunk it, it's gotta be real.
Well, I mean, you
Listen,
know how you get people that are always the naysayers. I
Yeah.
mean, you could have the best evidence or the best whatever, and since they didn't experience,
Well,
they're always gonna say, "Oh, it's this or it's that or whatever."
yeah, I'll tell you one reason why I really wanted to bring Mandy on was because she hit the nail on the head with some of the things that, we talk about. She's her biggest critic. She doesn't care what other people think about, her stories and her evidence and whatever may be. And
Right.
she just a lot of her stories just really, kind of reminded me of how I got started out. And then when I went out with her yesterday, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, we're doing this. This is gonna happen."
Just wanting answers, huh?
Oh yes, because I'm gonna tell you right now. Yesterday was, I mean, like I said, we didn't get a lot of evidence, but it was interesting. So, Amanda, you want to go ahead and talk for a minute?
I think she clicked off.
Did she?
I
She
don't see
ran
her.
away?
She ran away. She was about to tell us about her spooky house.
I
No, not Mandy.
did. Was
Amanda.
here, y'all.
Yeah.
We have
Why?
Mandy and Amanda.
I was like, y'all
I think she's gone.
me.
Her,
You want me to go ahead?
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, my name's Mandy. Um, I do love the paranormal. So I don't think stations are haunted. I think it's me. I'm just gonna it's me. Um, But once you can't unsee it, and it creates this want to know more, want to know if this is something that's not supposed to exist, Which, even though in my culture, I am Cherokee, Shawnee, Powhatan, Algonquian, my line just keeps going and going and going. Amongst other things, I am the mutt of the South, but we know there's cave drawings. We have our legends. We know Chukalu is what we call him, and I never thought I would see one though. Like I never thought, like, I wasn't, of course my mom was always like, no, when the woods booger man's gonna get you. When you're a kid, there's a devil out there. You ain't expecting it to be something or whatever. And they were already experiencing like activity when they bought the property. The real estate agent told my mother there's something just awkward about this place, but my mom just thought, oh, it's because it's off in the woods, and I left it at that. And that was in 2000. So
2008. I'm the only reason I'll clarify is because sometimes you are still cutting out just a little bit. Folks, please bear with us on the technical difficulties. Okay. We're going to try and make it the best we can for you. But go ahead, Bandy. I'm sorry.
It was okay. 2005, my parents bought this property. And yes, I was a bad influence to my mother because I was a smoker. She was sneaking and smoking, and so we would sneak out and smoke. And at dusk every evening, it seemed like you would get this whooping sound, and I'm just like pondering it, thinking we were making jokes, like we were literally making jokes that somebody's got a freaking monkey out here and they've let it loose. But the more it continued to happen, the more I got interested in it. And I researched every flipping bird. I even would go online and be like, hey, what kind of bird can do this? Somebody say, look up a whooping crane. Look up this, look up that. So I looked up every kind of bird I could think of. I could not match it. I couldn't match it to nothing. My dad got killed in 2000. And with my mom for a short, because
if I do this, that means you're freezing.
She was scared. I'm lie to you, Mama.
Did you hear me? If I wave at you, that means you're freezing up and you're coming through garbled.
Oh, okay. Now.
Yeah, I just heard from when she said her dad died, and then it started breaking up real bad.
Okay, can you hear? Yeah. My dad died in 2008. LP. Mom would knock herself out with a stat. We tools and a lad, and so I'm laying in bed. Was that on the house, or was that on that barn directly catty cornered behind the house line? Here trying to steal my I could think of. So me and my husband investigate it on to the very bottom where there was more than probably me. And it was
we may have to
up really high.
We may have to actually do it like we were doing like last night, where we got your voice through with Gary when he comes
I,
on because you're
I,
cutting
wonder,
out like bad. Not that we
I
don't want to
wonder
look
if
at
I
your
go sit
beautiful
in my
face.
son's room next.
You could
I
try that. You could
wonder if
try
I
that.
go
Yeah,
plug up close to my son's.
the closer to the
Maybe if
router,
I
the better,
move
Yeah,
probably.
to.
yeah. The closer you are to the router, and like I said, the less that's plugged in or the less that's running off of your Wi-Fi, you'll get better bandwidth.
God, I don't want to go in
Y'all
his
bear with
room,
us.
but okay.
It is the beginning of 2021, and we don't disappoint.
Yeah, right.
Beginning of 2021 with a 22-year-old son that don't come up after his sale. So
I have no idea what you're saying, girl.
I'm scared.
I heard something about not cleaning
Okay.
up after himself.
He's a boy.
I don't clean up after myself either.
That's like I said. That my point. Exactly.
Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yeah, you sound perfectly clear now.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to set myself somewhere over here so you're not having to see his slice of pizza that's laying up here on a plate that he's gonna get in trouble for later.
Wait a minute.
Honey,
What kind of pizza is it?
With
honey,
about
we've seen worse.
5,000
Trust me.
pins. Look, when you're 22 and you can't clean up your own room, and then he got car parts today. The boxes are big enough to look like coffins come in them.
Oh, he got some bumpers.
He did because he tore his off on No Back Road. You know that song they say "Body Like a Back Road." Well, all I got to tell you, if the women's like the back roads around here, they curvy and full of potholes.
That's awesome.
That's all I
Oh
can
my
say.
God.
I'm trying to find something to prop under this.
Come on. Boom, boom, boom. And Daniel better be paying attention.
Okay, so I don't know what else to unplug. I don't know what these devices are he has in here.
Just unplug the power. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
I don't even know what they are.
It won't mess with the interstate or the internet. It'll just keep it from pulling from the Wi-Fi and give you a better.
Girl, let's hope I don't mess with the interstate. Wi-Fi. I'm about ready to just go off Wi-Fi. Oh my God!
So what you been up to, big dog? Me and you ain't talked to in a minute.
Oh, just working. We were catching up, and then one guy left, and now everything went back to poop. So yeah, 2021.
Yeah, I went out with her, like I said, to the tribal grounds yesterday. Felt so rejuvenated. You know, you could feel the ancestors and just,
Well,
that
it's
peace.
good to be out in nature.
And then after I got back home, I was a little tired. I felt like a whooped pup. And then I woke up this morning and felt like I was like between a train and a brick wall. It's like,
Oh,
God, it's
wow.
been a while
Wi-Fi
since
off
I've been
with
hiking.
this. I'm just
Oh,
gonna turn the
yeah.
Wi-Fi off.
You think you'll
I just
get better?
said.
No,
I
we were
heard,
talking.
oh yeah.
We were bullshitting about how I felt between yesterday and today. Did you turn your
Well,
Wi-Fi off? Because sometimes, when you do, if you got the 4G, it'll run better.
Yeah, especially if you're not using a
I can
lot.
actually see you moving now, so you're not frozen.
good. Okay.
Chupa is gonna. This is my chupacabra, and he loves to be on the show.
That I know that is what's doing all the damage down in Mexico now.
That almost looks like my dog.
Say hello to everyone. Will
Hello,
you go sit
everyone.
down?
See, you have a chupacabra. I have a my sassy Sasquatch.
We
Well,
got a
he's gonna
sassy.
wind up pulling my headphone cords and everything else. I guess we could pick up where we left off. Mandy, go
You want
ahead
me to
and
just
finish.
carry on, my wayward son?
Yes, hey, look. You see my shirt.
I
Wayward
didn't even notice that.
AF.
I think we should start all over because it was choppy from the
Yeah, go
beginning.
ahead and start over if you don't mind. I mean, audience, y'all, please forgive us for this. Brand new systems running. We got more parts of it coming in here in just a little bit when my production guru shows up. But we have Mandy on. She's had experiences. I actually had the pleasure of going out with her yesterday and doing some investigating. And she's about to tell us a little bit about her background before she gets into the story. So
Okay.
if y'all don't mind listening to that, other than her,
That's
then
when
we'll
you,
go from there.
girl,
I,
that is
I
when you
thought you
get
were
my
breaking
rap.
up.
No, that sounds like me trying to rap. That's like saying, "Hey, Loretta Lynn, can you throw me a rap?"
All right.
Anyway,
The guru is here.
my
But go
name
ahead.
is
Keep
Mandy.
talking, girl.
My name is Mandy. I am Cherokee, Shawnee, Algonquian, Powhatan, Métis, along with only God knows what else. I do know what else, but I'm telling you, I'm just the melting pot of America. Um, I started having my Sasquatch encounters back in 2005. My parents bought a property that had been left vacant for long, long time, many, many moons. And the real estate agent even told my mother that there was something just eerie about that place. And I don't know if that was her trying to just, how sometimes they have to disclose in a sale that something's odd. So I don't know if that's what she was trying to do, but my mom just thought, well, it's probably because it's off in the woods, and I don't know. Anyway, so they moved in. Me and my mom smoked. No, my mom had to sneak and smoke because my dad didn't want her to. And yes, I was contributing to the adult mother. And so I would go over there and we would hang out in the backyard, sneak around, let her smoke her cigarettes. And while we're back there, we're hearing this whoop, whoop, just over and over and over. Not just one, but it sounded like a tribe. And so, we're just thinking somebody's got a freaking monkey and they've let it loose. Like we're making fun and laughing, just making cracking jokes because we didn't know what it was. I researched every bird that I could research. Somebody even told me, hey, try researching the whooping crane. Nothing like it. I couldn't find anything to match it. Like there was nothing that I could find that would anywhere. Like I just did all kind of birds, like not even birds of my state, and still couldn't find a match for this sound. So then in 2008, my dad got killed on his job. And me and my husband and my kids moved in with my mother for a short period of time because the house was turned over to me. My mom couldn't live there anymore. She couldn't handle it. She was scared, would knock herself out with Tylenol PM every night. So she didn't have to hear stuff. And the first thing I ever heard, apart from the whooping sounds coming from the woods, was we're laying in bed one night. Everybody's asleep. I'm an insomniac. I'm wide awake. And I hear a smack. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, did something just hit the house? Or did it hit the red barn? But my mind didn't think about an animal or anything like that. All I think about was all my dad's tools and them knowing that he had just passed. Was somebody out there trying to steal them because he had expensive tools. So me and my husband goes to investigate, and the terrain was lots of ravines, overhangs, underground springs, water sources, muscadines. Deer would come up in my yard. I mean, like there was plenty of food source. We get to this one edge that drops off to an old creek bed and then shoots right back up, like this huge hill. Down from in there, as we approach that side of the woods, we start hearing what I will describe as a banshee screaming, or like a woman from a horror film. And it's like repeatedly screaming over and over and over. And the hair that I don't even have in areas of my body just literally raised up. And I froze. I mean, like it scared the tar out of me. I'm thinking to myself at that point that there's a woman being drugged to her death and somebody's fixing to murder her and she knows it. So I called the police out there. He goes down in there and looks a little bit, comes back and says he didn't find nothing. but I'm still thinking in my mind, they're going to be a dead woman found in these woods, 'cause I know what it was. My mother eventually moved out, and I got to where I was having more of it would only happen at, like, from dusk until like a little bit after sunrise, because there would be noises after my kids would get up to go to school and go get on the bus. I'm trying to do this the best I can in order of what I remember, but I came in one day from picking my kids up from school, and of course my son played soccer, so he had soccer practice, and my daughter was a cheerleader. So it's later in the evening, and the kids automatically, the little kids always jump out of the car first, and they're standing in the front door waiting on me, and I'm over there trying to get my keys out. And my house is white, but out of the corner of my eye, I see this huge black thing standing at the side of my house. And I'm trying not to, like, turn to look at it to make it noticeable, but I'm trying to, like, glance over. And when I do, it takes one step and it's, like, already back behind my house and I can't see it. Or, that side. So I sit there and I pondered on that for a while, and I was like, was that a freaking spirit? What the heck did I just see? Even though I know in Native American culture, we do believe in, some people call it the hairy man. Some people call it wild man. We call it chukalu. But it still didn't register with me what I had saw. So eventually my kids start complaining at night. Mom, something's at my window. Something's at my window. I am 5'5", and I could stand on my tiptoes and could barely reach the bottom of the window. And I'm confused, and I'm thinking at this point, okay, these kids are just hearing something and scaring themselves. Until it decides to start coming to my window. And it doesn't just come to my window, but it comes to my window and it's knocking on my window.
Oh man.
So I'm laying there, my husband's laying there, he's hearing it. I'm thinking, okay, the kids were, they were being for real with what they were hearing. After that, and my activity was only from early spring to late fall, and then all winter I would have absolutely nothing. I mean, there would be no anything anymore. I mean, besides deer, or whatever, but I had like no more activity like that. So I don't know if I just kind of assume that they moved on, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I had got my son an air rifle for Christmas that year. And I had a neighbor that lived about an acre and a half in front of me. So I would tell him, go out to the side of the house and shoot it toward the woods. And we even bought him those little target things for target practice. So he's pointing directly at the woods and just firing away, and this is the weather's warming up and he's out there playing, and he starts coming in and he's like, Mom, something's growling at me. And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, is there a big cat out there? Like, I go out, I don't see anything, I don't hear anything. From that moment, my son became a target of, I don't know if it was because he was pointing a gun out there. Now that I know what it was, I do believe I had a tribe or a pod, whatever you want to call them, that lived on my property. I think they saw my son as a threat because of the gun. They would growl at his window. And so I even switched my kids' rooms up, and I thought, okay, maybe this will solve the problem. And they would still know what room he was in. And they really did like my daughter's window. She was starting at that time to get into that, that puberty stage. And it kind of bothered me a little bit, because I'm like, what's up with this? I don't really like this, but I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. But she'd come to me a lot, Mom, there's something at my window again. There's something at my window, but it was never growling at her. So I ended up with 2 teenage kids that slept on pallets on my bedroom floor, because they were scared to sleep in their own room. We had an occasion where we went walking, and I had started having heart problems. And so we're walking down this hill because I'm trying to exercise and I was trying to recover from having a cardiac ablation. So every time I would have one, I would try to walk, to try to get myself back to normal. We walked down the hill and we're like, there's woods, thick woods on each side. And as we're coming back, something's pacing us. Like we can hear it pacing us, but I can't see it because my woods are so thick. They were so green and so thick that I couldn't see nothing. And the only thing I could do is tell the kids, go to the house, go to the house. But I mean, it continued to pace me till I got to my driveway. It never came out of the wood line. So I don't really know why it started doing that. So then it struck an interest in me too. Hey, I'm going to start sitting outside at nighttime. I want to know. I want to see. I want to know. I want to listen. My husband could do his little whistle where he puts his hands over his mouth. I can't do that, but he would do that whistle and totally get the same thing back.
He either sounds like a banshee or like a train whistle. I love the videos of her husband. I thought she was sending me parodies, but no, it's for real. Her husband is just that. It's hilarious. I'll let her tell you.
So he's out there whistling and it'll mimic him, and so I would let him do all that. At first we never really did any tree knocking until by accident we had walked down that hill where I had gotten paced and we were at the very bottom of it. And I had this walking stick and this dog was coming down the hill. So I was just going to hit the pavement to scare the dog. And I'm right in the middle of the highway, or it's not really a highway. I mean, it's a freaking back road out in the middle of nowhere, but I'm right in the middle of the road. But on each side of me there is the edge of the woods and a power line right away. And then it just huge fields. So I just clacked that stick on that pavement, and from up behind my house, I totally had a tree knock. And my daughter was up there at the house by herself. She was about 13, and I was like, ooh, I don't like that. I said, we need to go home because that was just too close home for me at that time because I didn't know for sure how yet they were going to be to us because I knew they were already showing aggression toward my son when he would go out. I never let my kids stay out. They would want to jump on the trampoline. It was in the backyard. They would want to jump on the trampoline till late, and I would never let them. Because, at that point, I'm still like, or is this going to kill my kids? I don't know. So anyway, after that, we started trying to put like those little hunting cameras up. Never caught crap. Never caught nothing on it. So, and I still left it up. Then my husband, we decide we're going to put some voice recorders out. And, he thinks he's going to be Billy Bad Butt and go down in the woods in the dark. And he takes off. Now, he's one of those. He's a country man, so he's going to pee outside. And I kind of think with him, to the Bigfoot, they're like, you're a male. You're on my territory and you're peeing, dude. I don't like that. So he goes out there and he's taping this to the tree and he says he hears this heavy, heavy breathing like Darth Vader right close to him. He comes out. So we started doing the recorders a lot and I would catch like bipedal walking on these recorders. I actually sent them to Ashley. A lot of tree. It sounded to me like they were throwing rocks at my recorder. I had chickens that the kind of that has like a little spring latch that you have to pull back to unhook to open it. I had a chicken coop that had those, and it could open those, and it would take my chickens. I finally thought I mastered the problem and had a solution to fix that. And I started hanging these huge, they look like Christmas bells. They were like that big around. I had them all lined up down one side of the chicken run. And I heard my chickens squawking one night because this is in the fall and we're running our hillbilly air conditioner, which means the windows are open. And we go running out and there's my hen that's laying on eggs and half of her back is completely missing. Whoa. Like something had reached in to grab her and I guess she struggled and got away and it literally took her down to her. I could see her spine bone.
Wow.
Not only did
Cool.
it do that, but it took my balls. And it took us about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years to find those. They were way down the ravine.
Are you talking
So
about
when
the Christmas balls?
yes, they
Okay.
were bells. They were, they had bells. Because I thought that would kind of help me hear if something was messing over there. I would hear that jingling.
Yeah.
No, they took my bells. It took me about 2.5 years. He actually happened to come across them under some leaves, way, 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 way down the ravine. Then we had an occasion where I had went to go get a laptop, and it's late at night, and my fuel pump went out about a mile from my house. And 11 o'clock at night in the country, you don't just go knock up on somebody's door and say, "Hey, will you give me a ride?" Because it don't work like that. So anyway, we walked home. We had one flashlight. We walked home, and we got to where I was telling you the power line run through. We got to that area, and the only thing that was there was this one bale of hay where somebody had come through and cut the grass there and made a huge bale of hay. From that area, from that vicinity of that hay bale, I hear what sounds to me like a big stomp. It kind of made me think of a horse stomping the ground. And I shine the flashlight over there and I see nothing. And so we keep walking, but we keep getting stomped at. The farther we went, it was coming behind us, but I don't know where it was, because at that point I'm telling my kids, don't look back. They're crying. My daughter's face is hitting my side. She's crying so hard. But it stomped us all the way to my driveway. I would be outside all day long in my yard, working, digging a koi pond, just doing whatever. And I would have that. I always had that feeling I was being watched, but I didn't ever feel threatened. My daughter never felt threatened. But now my husband could come in from work and I could be out there in the back, and I still don't understand this, because every time he came and put his arms around me or leaned in to kiss me, something would get thrown. And I was like, and I would make jokes, and I would be like, "Hey, that was my husband from a past life, and he don't like you." Just, that's just the way I would joke about it. But I do not think that it liked him. I don't know if maybe because of him being male, and was it trying to be, I don't know. I honestly have no answer for that. We were laying on the hammock one night.
I was about to say, if you have no shame,
Yeah.
tell that story. This one cracks me up.
Are there kids listening on here?
It's live and uncensored. Everybody knows that. So
Okay.
Just me.
Well, we're in the woods.
don't go into detail. Just
Yeah.
No, man.
Why not? We want details.
Well,
We
I
want
was like,
details.
video.
we do
I'm
have.
from Missouri. You have to show me.
I'm drinking, damn it! I told you.
okay, so he's on the hammock, and it looks like I'm at a rodeo. That's all I'll tell you. Next thing I hear, it sounds like something dropped out of a freaking tree. I mean, like something big, something heavy drops out of a tree. And let me just tell you, I got my ass up and left him hanging in that hammock with a high rise. I said, I am out. And we did have another occasion after that where we would go to the very, very end. And I had been feeding these things, not knowing, unintentionally feeding them, because I would throw scraps out, because that's what you do when you live in the country. You feed all God's creatures,
Right.
We're trying to get the possums heart attacks and stuff like that with all our greasy food. But anyway, I would just take my scraps out there and dump them. And one night we go out there, and I wouldn't go by myself to that one part because it's so dark and you can't see nothing. Like just a few feet into the woods in front of me, a tree starts shaking violently. And I'm talking like my husband tried to do it the next day. Even he could not get that same motion out of that freaking tree. So I don't know if it was happy that there was food, or if it was saying, "Back up, girl." I don't know. So I've been feeding them. So I don't know if that's what kept them around for so long, because, we had this every spring through fall for 8 years. we would go and I would set my picnic table up on the very corner of the woods and my little tiki, torches out there, and we would cook and eat just so I could sit out there and listen. And you would hear stuff like all around us. And we kind of had a little thing there, and that was the end of that. There was no more, we're going out in the woods. This country stuff's going to have to stop because the animals like it too much. So, we wasn't, it's kind of like that song. I know you know what I'm talking about. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but animals. Let's do it like they do on Discovery Channel. Yeah, they had to quit. So anyway, we just got used to staying outside and just listening and listening and listening. One night we went out and I'm on a little hill, and they were so attracted to my burn pile. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because of the metal stuff left behind. I don't know. But they were really attracted to my burn pile. And I'm standing up above the burn pile. He's like down at the edge of the woods, and I'm panning the flashlight through, and I hit eye shine. And I said, I just seen eye shine. He said, there's no way, that's too high up. I said, I'm telling you, I just seen eye shine. So I walked down to where he's at, and when I got downtown, the next thing I know, a freaking log comes flying through the woods at us. You could hear it swiping every freaking limb and leaf there was possible. But I would sit out there during the day, and even at night, we would hear this funky chatter. And when I say chatter, it was like, sometimes you would hear it was loud. So I knew it wasn't a small animal, but it would be like and I'm not trying to offend nobody. If you're from Africa, I'm not trying to offend you at all. This weird tongue clicking on the roof of your mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like we would hear this weird.
I can't remember
clicking.
what tribe, but it's that dialect where they can speak and click at the same time. That's what she.
Yeah,
we
was
heard
like this
that yesterday.
weird. There was this really weird chatter with a tongue clicking, is what it made me think of. Then I called my mom one day because I'm out. I smule, so I sing karaoke, and I would sing at the woods all the time. And so I'm out at the edge of the woods, and I'm, getting ready to do my singing, and all of a sudden I start hearing what sounded to me like a native tongue coming from down the ravine. And I'm not fluent in Cherokee, but I know some Cherokee. I speak a little bit of Otomi. I speak Spanish. I'm very fluent in Spanish, and I'm like, this ain't nothing I know. What is like, and it wasn't just one. It sounded like men, but it didn't. I called my mom. I put it on the speakerphone. She could hear them through my freaking phone. And I'm like, what the hell is that? We're just trying to figure out, like, what the hell are we hearing? So eventually it just continues, to keep coming and it kept coming to my daughter's window. It kept coming to our window. Finally, I ended up with an impression behind my daughter's window. And that's when I finally reached out to VFRO, which I will make jokes about them now. But anyway, they come. And it was casted, and I wish I had. It was 17.5 inches long. There was a full impression at her window, and then about 3 feet behind it was the heel of another. And I tried to even put myself in that position to try to have that stride. I was almost in the splits. That's not possible for me. I've got long legs. I promise. They're real long. Ashley can tell you.
You're shorter than me, but no, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I could not.
I don't think you could even do a juvenile stride.
I mean, I could not get in that stride. So they cast it. They walked to my woods. They told me I had something what they call tall boy trails, and he was telling me exactly the direction it was coming around. It was actually coming from where the underground, like the water comes up out of the ground, and it'll flow a little ways and go back down. And then it would follow around along that pathway up into my backyard. But he found multiple places like that. And he took my cast. And he came back. I want to say they came back 3 times. This guy came back 3 times. And then we're sitting outside one night, and I hear this. There was an old abandoned mobile home back in the woods, and I hear there was an old driveway there, so it had a little bit of gravel still, and I hear like if somebody had stepped on that gravel, like my husband I kept telling him, I said, there's something back there. And he kept saying, no, there's not. And I was like, yes, there is. So he tried to repeat the sound. It took him 3 steps to get across it. And that was him kind of like doing his, trying to launch across there, like making a big stride. This only made 1. And we couldn't hear it anymore. But as we watched, the neighbor back there had this white shed. I'm going to call it a shed. I don't know what it was. It looked like it had a garage door opening, but it didn't have an actual garage door on it. We see this tall freaking figure, black as soot, go in front of that. And it was so tall, its head was above the doorway thing. And you don't just meander off in where my woods were. We had copperheads. We had rattlesnakes. I mean, it was, your dogs go back there, they're going to get snake bit. Like, I can't even tell you how many of my, people that lived around these animals dropped dead because of snakes. We just didn't meander off in there in the dark. This thing had no flashlight and just totally walked through grass that would probably be maybe hip high to me, waist high to me, like it was nothing. And it's full of briars right off into the woods. So the next day I go and knock on my neighbor's door, and I'm like, I don't know if somebody was trying to mess with your stuff over here or what. Because, I mean, I didn't want to just come out and be like, hey, you had a Sasquatch in your yard last night. But her mom was gone. It was a teenage girl there by herself. And she said all night long, the dogs kept barking, and she kept hearing this weird sound hitting the end of her trailer. And she kept getting up thinking somebody was knocking on the door, but there was nobody there. She said, I would go back to the other end of the trailer and look out the window to see if a car was in the driveway, and nothing was there. But it kept setting the dogs off. So her mother's the one that I was telling you, Ashley, that came over because she worked night shift and was like, don't ever let your kids out, when it's past dark, because she come in and hearing that screaming too. So my first roar, I would call it a roar, my kids were going to get on the school bus, and we had that like Sawyer Brown song, down our long dusty driveway. That's what we had. And my kids would have to walk down the driveway, and we had horses in a fence beside the driveway, and they would always walk with the kids up to the end of where the bus would pick them up. From across the highway, or wasn't a highway, but the road from us, everything here is a highway in the South. But from across the road from us was another bunch of woods, and then on the other side of that was miles and miles and miles of cornfield. If I have to describe how that sounded, that would be like, I guess if you could take the lungs of a bear and put them in the chest of a man, when it screamed, those horses took off to the other end of that pasture, and my kids are standing there, and I always watched my kids, till they got on the bus. And they're looking at me, Mama, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Thank God the bus got them about that time, and I'm still standing out there like, what the freaking crap? Like it was a distance away, but I didn't know how close it was or how fast it would take to get to my kids. But I mean, it was like make your insides rumble, like if you was at a freaking concert and you're standing by a dang speaker, that just that rumbly feeling of it. It was a heavy, heavy, heavy sound. We heard it again another time, way off. One of my cats that I had, because I kept a lot of cats out there to keep snakes out of my yard, but it was up in a tree, and I could not get that damn cat to get out of that tree to save my life. Well, while we're standing there, we hear this freaking thing. What? That's what it sounded like from way off. And I did catch that on my voice recorder. And I'm hoping somebody, tech over here, will clean it up and can hear that good. So, that was my stuff there at my house. So then I took my aunt to the tribal land to let her kind of enjoy a little bit, because she's not related to me on my Indian side. So I was taking her to the balcony that overlooks one of our smaller waterfalls. And
The one
as
we were at?
yes. And
Okay.
as we were walking, and all the buildings that you seen how long that building was when we were there, that wasn't there back then. Back then it was just a smaller building. So this all that stuff's been added. It was just a smaller building, the log cabin, and that was it. Um, we're going the high trail. There's a high trail, medium trail, low trail, or middle trail, low trail. And when I say middle trail, I'm not meaning like it's just right here. I mean like you're really downhill. I can't even go down there anymore. But anyway, we're walking that high trail, and as we're going that way, we're just talking and just crunching through the leaves, and we can hear something on that middle trail like coming toward us. But it was like every step we took, it would take that step. But when we would stop, it would stop. And I thought at first, okay, is it a deer? And then I thought, no, because it hears us. That sucker would shoot off. You know, that's the way deer are. They catch your scent. They hear your sound. They might make a noise, but as soon as they recognize that, hey, you know, there's something here, they take off. Well, this didn't. It just continued to come toward us as we were going toward it. And finally, it decided not to keep. When we stopped, it decided it was going to keep coming. And I had my water bottle in the hood of my jacket that day. And I'm saying, no, I'm out of here. So I turn around and I take off running. And my aunt's clumsy, bless her heart. And when I say my aunt, she's not older than me. So don't feel sorry for her like I've left an old lady in the downward dog position in the woods. My papa was still knocking the boots in his old age. So this aunt's younger than me. And literally, I turn around and she's laying on her chest with her butt stuck up in the air. She was trying to rescue my bottle of water. Honey, I got 15 in the vehicle. We don't need to worry about that right now. You need to get up. So she finally comes out, and I go up to my elder, and I'm like telling her, oh my God, something's like freaking tracking us down there. And this elder's passed away now. And, you know, she told me that it was Chukalu. She said, you know, just talking to me a little bit about it. And while we're standing there talking, we hear what sounded like two rock clacks. And I'm talking like hard, like loud. And she said, go back down there, go to the edge of the woods. And I was like, heck no. And she said, I'm right here watching y'all. Just you go. I went to one trailhead. My aunt went to the other trailhead. So by the time we get back to the trailheads, we could hear it was still walking, totally bipedal, walking on its way out. We didn't see it, but we could hear it. And out of all of my encounters, I've never smelled anything. And another thing, my neighbor that lived an acre and a half away from me, my house sit up on a hill and then it dropped down, and then their house was on a hill. So I could lay in my bed and see their burn pile in their backyard. And I would always wait till I would leave because my allergies are really bad. They would wait till I would leave to burn stuff. So they had this big white couch that sat out there for months. And I happened to notice one night when I'm watching TV that I couldn't see that white couch glowing in the dark out there anymore. Like no matter how dark it was, you could still see that freaking couch sitting down there. It was such an eyesore. You could still see it. And I get to realizing I'm seeing head and shoulders, but it was doing this weird, and I try to explain it. I try to show Ashley, and I probably looked totally stupid doing it, but it was looking in my window, but it was kind of doing this little swaying thing, you know, like it was swaying back and forth because I would see the couch and then I wouldn't see the couch, and then I would see the couch and then I wouldn't see the couch. And I was trying to wake my husband up, tell him, look, you need to look. But I didn't want to just shake him or whatever and scare it away because I wanted him to roll over and actually see it. So I pinch him, and of course, he freaking looks at me, Nana! And of course, you know what that means in Spanish. So when he did that, it did one more sway, and then away it went. Then after that, someone came and clear cut about 40 acres of the property back there. And when they clear cut, my activity was absolutely gone. I stood in my backyard and cried watching them cut all those trees down. But I never ever was afraid of them. They never ever tried to harm me. I just had this, I don't know. I guess it caused me to have this hunger and drive to be Jane Good. You know, what is her name? Jane
Jane
Goodwin,
Goodall.
Goodall, whatever. She's something Goodwin. She can be a winner. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to know more. You know, like I knew we're cohabitating on the same property. Now it didn't like me. It did not.
Do you want to go ahead and move up to recent events, and I'll do
Yes.
those screen shares of the pictures you got.
Yeah. My sister lives in a really like I
You can
love
say the
living in.
county. Go ahead and say the county.
She lives in Blount County, Alabama. I love squatchy places. I do, but you couldn't pay me to live where she lives. Behind her house is so thick that I'm not kidding. It is so thick, it's like a corn maze. And my sister, you know, would tell us stuff that she had going on, and I would be like, "Go out there." You know, I'm trying to push her. Go listen. Go record it. She was a chicken. She wasn't doing it. So finally, right before New Year's, I talked her into going just a little piece back there. And she's not knowing what to look for. Like when I go in the woods, I immediately start looking for sticks, trees, limbs, prints, things like that, and listening. And I've got her on Messenger. Me and my best friend has her on Messenger so we can keep an eye on her. And she's walking out through there, and I'm like, I seen something in the mud, because it's like that red mud in this one area, and I was like, what is that? And she sent me a picture of it, and it looked like toes to me. And I was like, start paying attention for all that. But of course, she got scared. You know, she did get scared. She started hearing noises and got scared. She was like, girl. She said, the devil is a lie. I ain't going back in there. Well, like, guess what? She did go back in there on New Year's. We decided we was going to go down in there in the dark. There was about 7 of us. I don't want to shoot a Sasquatch, but I will carry a firearm, because if a bobcat's going to jump out on me, he's going to be my next winter coat. So anyway, we get down through there, and we're like, you feel like you're squished in an area about this big. The pines are you're just squished. And on the way in, there was, I don't know what type of birds it were, but they were all rooted in the trees, and we were scaring them, and they were just like flapping around blindly in the night. One hit my daughter-in-law on the head. We get to this one little area, and my mom's and my sister's saying that they heard something scream. I didn't, because there's also this weird crunchy grass out there that's really tall, and rabbit tobacco. And so all I could hear was everybody crunching on that. I did not hear the scream. So we decide, hey, let's stop right here and just listen. About that time, my sister, you know, after they said that, I hear this, whoa, you know, and I'm like, my sister said, it sounded like it's coming from off that way. And the next thing I know, we get this growl. My husband had done a whistle, and we get this growl. And the growl sounds like that rumbling growl of an alligator. We don't have gators.
The shotgun one after you
Yeah,
say
where I was saying load the shotgun.
I'll let Gary share that one if it with your permission. I mean, you got to tell us what we can and can't share.
My other machine's down. You'll have to play it.
Oh God, I don't even know if I have it saved in my machine. Y'all keep talking, and let me see if I can get it on here.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, we do not have alligators up here. I mean, there might be some.
Well, we do, but not like that. Not in the brush like we would, like out in the sawgrass in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like right here in North Alabama, so we might have some in Smith Lake, but we don't have none. Just meandering off in the woods, waiting to get you. So at that point, I just took the cue, you know, and that's what I did learn from my old place. I knew when to take my cue, that it was, hey, maybe I'm encroaching too much on you. It's time for me to back up and get away. You know, it's time for me to get out. As we're walking out, we're being flanked on each side. And I'm thinking to myself, like, my daughter is totally in panic mode. She is in a complete panic mode. Mother, something's breathing so loud beside me. I had my son, he was telling us with my 9mm. My husband's in front with a rifle, and all of us women are in the middle. And it's just walking. So, I mean, like, if I could only let you see what I mean by how thick this is, anything could just reach out, grab you, pull you in, you're gone. I mean, you're just that in a thick place. You can't even see through it. You cannot even see through it. I tried using my FLIR to see my husband because he did wedge himself up into some pines. I could barely see him, and he's just a matter of a few feet away from me. But my daughter's in a complete panic. My daughter-in-law, and my sister, and they're just complaining behind me. It's breathing. Now, that day we did smell something, but it was kind of weird. It smelled like that old skunk weed that we used to smoke when we were teenagers, is what it made me think of. It smelled like straight up skunk weed.
We? What do you mean we?
Well, back in my day, let me just tell you, we was,
I was an angel. I was a total angel.
Girl, I was too when my horns was holding that halo up.
That's what my mom used to say about me. My mom always told me my horns were held up in my halo. Or my halo was held up on my horns. I'm taking Pat's place tonight with slurring.
You know that smell I'm talking about, though. Like that smell of that old stinking skunk weed. And that's the only thing that we were laughing about. We was like, dang, because that was the only thing we could smell. And that's the first time I've ever smelled anything. But we finally got out of there. And the next morning, I started going through my recordings and just realizing all the crap that I had caught and I was recording with my phone. So we went back. I made my husband go back the next day. Sometimes he minds real good. Sometimes he don't, but he cooperates.
He's easy like Sunday morning.
Oh, God. Yeah. I got the creeps in the tribal lands last weekend. It was quiet. There wasn't no activity or nothing, but we hit this one spot where it just felt so uneasy to me. And it's on a Sunday, and he looks at me and says, Nana, you have to sing. It's easy like Sunday morning. He's such an ass.
Yeah, y'all keep going. I'm going to look at, I got to listen to her thing, so I'm going to mute my mic and everything so I don't disturb the show. But I will hopefully get this so we can listen.
But I made him go back with me the next day because I said, there has to be tracks. There's got to be something. And I said, it'll be daylight. So, maybe it'll be all right. And I talked my sister to going back out in there with me. And it's just me and her and him. And we walked down through there and found areas like places we didn't walk during the night where you could see something had been bedding down in the tall grass, just big, huge areas. And then we would find like a lot of deer scat. You would see the little bedding areas of deer, just their little round spot where they would bed down. There was this weird tree limb. There's these weird tree limbs that didn't quite fit in an area. I did take a picture of whether it's nature or not. I wasn't sure if this was like the beginning of a blind. I don't know. Because if I see something and I just don't know, I'll still take a picture of it just in case. And I'll tell you that I just didn't know. But I did baby powder quite a few places in the grass that were pressed down. And like, I'm 145 pounds, size 9 shoe, and I would press in there and I could not make an impression. But every one of them measured the same thing, 14.5 inches, every one of them. Every place that we went and found a spot that looked like a foot had stepped. And I mean, it wasn't just like you would just find a foot or two. You would see an actual trackway. And they all measured the same. So we end up in this other area, and by then it's starting to get darker. And that's where we come across where the water had, after it had rained, had left that red mud. And there was a partial print, and then another print, and then like where I had stepped on a log and just completely obliterated that. But that's where I got the print with all the toes, the whole entire foot, and I poured plaster of Paris in it. Had to wait for that to dry. So while we're waiting for that to dry, the birds are starting to land in the trees for nighttime. And we start hearing that scream.
Do you have the tracks?
Oh, I do.
Do you have them with you? Can we see them?
Do you want to see my print?
Yeah.
Okay,
Look, well, before she actually grabs the print, I'll do screen share.
Cool.
I couldn't pull that video up. I mean, for some reason, like with her iPhone, it won't let me share when she's posting it around. Gary does have a copy of it, and he was trying to clean it up. But sure enough, when they're standing in the thicket, you do hear her. I mean, there's kind of a sound where you're like, is that somebody with them breathing heavy, or is that something coming from around them going? But sure enough, she turns around and she says, babe, load your shotgun. And as soon as she says shotgun, you hear this, and then that's when they turn and they start leaving because they heard it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When she's done showing that, I'll show you like what she cast it from and
Give me just a minute.
the still shots.
I kind of wonder, did it have a deformity on its feet? Do you see this?
Yeah, she keeps talking about those two bumps, like
Yeah, it's
they're
weird.
cords or something.
Like warts or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really, really weird. And the other thing that I find weird is like the one that BFRO took at my house, the bottom was completely flat. So I feel like this is juvenile. I do not think this is full grown.
Now, I will tell you guys, she showed me that yesterday when I picked her up before we went out to the tribal lands.
Mhm.
And, we looked at it. Those are very round and smooth. Now, I found dermal ridges right there at the heel.
Oh.
And, I mean, it's there's like right in that area, like off to the left side of the foot, there's like a weed kind of sticking out. She didn't know if it was hair. I said, no, that's weed.
I'm
Just
not
leave it in there.
sure.
Don't pull it apart any more than it already,
I'm
whatever.
not sure if that's hair or what that is. Can you see that? I don't know what that is sticking out of it.
Let me zoom in.
I told you, I think it's like grass or something.
But to me, what's weird is this one almost has this weird break in the foot, is I guess what I'll call it. I don't know what else to call it. It's almost like it's trying to start becoming flat, but it has like this little hump here, a little hump here, and then like, how on our foot, we got the arch, and we have the ball of our foot and our heel. It has this really weird little thing here in this area. And I'm like, was something wrong with this one? Like, did it have like some kind of deformity, or I'm not really sure what it was, but you literally can see what looks like the wrinkles of its feet in spots. But so while this was drying, we're in the area and we hear that scream. Well, Billy Badass in yonder, he's gonna go get it. He's gonna go after it. And he goes down the ravine and he does his whistle. And right beside him you can see a tree that's already been bent over. He decides to do this really masculine woo, woo, like a gorilla would do. Let me just tell you, when it decided to call back to him, I don't know if I've ever seen that man run that fast.
I laughed. I wasn't even there. I just watched the video, but I mean, it's very hard to hear in the distance, the response, but you do hear a response. And it was him and his brother?
My nephew, my 14-year-old nephew, running with a freaking machete.
I mean, it's like, at first I thought it was her, because I'm following the video and you see like these perfect bends in trees. You see some saplings bent. You see a TP structure. And I'm like, oh, they're about to check out. And then like, nope. And then he turns around and he goes and he does the whistle and then he does the grunts. And then there's like some kind of response from somewhere. I don't know what it was. I'm not going to say it was a Sasquatch. He heard it, and all you see is the camera go, and it's just like grass. It's smeared grass. I mean, they were hauling ass out of there. Yeah. And I couldn't stop laughing. That was, you got to have fun when you're doing this. You got to make fun of yourself. And I mean, that's one thing that I enjoyed about Mandy yesterday. We went out, we sat there, we had good conversation, we joked, but then when we started hearing things, we got serious. We got quiet. We started listening.
Right.
And I'll let her tell you about, how the sounds that we, went through and that we experienced.
Singing
We did not
brings
capture
them out,
anything on the
though.
phone or on. I got my audio recorder now,
Well,
or my digital
I
recorder.
haven't went through all of mine yet. Still haven't had a chance because I had to go to neuromuscular today, and I didn't expect to be there till after 6, so I haven't got to go through mine. I do hear it walking around us, and I do feel like that was, when I say juvenile, I want to say a child, like a little one. Every time we would talk and walk, it would just go in, and it was either her or me. It was constantly like, shh, shh, and it would still keep walking around us, but it was like it did this circle around us.
And we had this kind of simpatico thing going on where it's like both of us would stop at the same time and look at each other and like, we're being watched. And then afterwards it'd be like, there's nothing around. It's stopped. It's done with us. And then later on, something else would pick up.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't just one area. It wasn't just one area, because she was telling me something, and I don't remember what she was telling me, but from back behind us off on maybe the middle trail, I did pick up a knock. I did hear that yesterday, of what little bit I got to listen to. And then I was just kind of just showing her what I do when I go out there. I like to sing when I'm out there. I don't know why.
She's got a beautiful
I feel like,
voice. She's singing the native, music and songs.
And then we started getting a lot of activity. We started getting a lot of activity at that point. I found she goes off into the area where we could hear something moving around, and I tried to go the opposite direction, and I totally find this area that's kind of weird to me, because when water runs off a hill, you'll see where that water has run through trees or whatever. You'll see it. It was just so weird to me. I find this huge impression between two trees, and there's nothing but a huge ravine above it, like back behind it, and the creek is right in front of it.
Yeah,
and
I called Gary. I called
and
Gary on live, and I was like, dude, check this out. And she was sitting in this little dip out. And he said, let me see in front of it. And he's like, and there's a perfect ridge line going down. He's like, yeah. And he said, let me see above it. And I'm showing him around. And I mean, no, we're not saying definitively this is what it is. But it was like, we were like, that is prime situations. Or
like if you were wanting to hunt, you're right there where everything comes to water. And the ridge was high enough while I'm sitting in there that I could barely see over the little hump of the grass down to the creek. But directly behind it was another little indentation. Did you say I was this tall?
I was saying she's this tall.
I'm 5'5". But
it's okay.
It was like there was a little spot in between two other trees, and the limbs are coming down, and there's like sticks laying in it. I'm thinking, okay, is this where bait? We just kind of talked back and forth. Was this the playpen over here for the little ones? While the big ones had their hunting blind or whatever. So I don't know. But my husband, I'm gonna make him come in here and tell you his story, where we went out to Bremen.
While you're doing that, oops, I'm gonna go to a screen share, and I'm gonna show an up close of your casting.
I will. Come here.
Nope, can't do it that way. Come on. Come here.
I got to say, this has been one of the most entertaining shows I've ever been involved in.
She's a hoot. She is really a hoot.
Orderly. Come in here and squatch beside me.
Squatched beside me.
we have squatness, and oh my god, I got my scooter because I have my Myasthenia gravis, and I got my scooter, and I've got Sasquatch emblems on the way from Amazon. I'm putting on the back of it. I'm no longer going to be the neighborhood watch. I'm going to be the neighborhood squatch. That's my Squatch mobile. Come here.
There you go.
Come down here. Okay, this is my husband Abel. If he will. They don't want to see your private parts. They want to see your face.
Damn it.
Squat down. Get in the floor with me. Can you see him?
Hey, Abel, I want to hear you say easy like Sunday morning.
She said, "Hey, Abel, I want to hear you say easy like Sunday morning." No, that's not what you're in here for. When we went to Kim's that night, this was in February of last year. Misting rain, it's cold. Here, put my earphones in so you can hear. Don't hang us up. Misting rain, it's cold. And I'm still kicking myself. Like, I'm still kicking my freaking self for this because I had my face buried in my phone, not paying any attention to anything. And go ahead, tell what you saw as we pulled off the graveled road.
Do you hear me?
Can y'all hear him? He said,
Yeah, I can hear him.
"Yeah, just speak up. Speak up.
Okay, we was putting
That
out.
light is that bright."
It is, but we was pulling out from the road, and I had a bright light on, and then when we started to turn to the left, I see that face and then all that hair. And I just see it, and I just keep on driving because I was thinking, well, maybe I'm hallucinating or something. Um, so then, little bit in the road, my daughter say, "Do you see what I see?" And then when she say that, I say, "Well, maybe that's not just my imagination. It is something that we see." So, so we see something, and then I don't know what it is.
But what was it doing?
Oh, it was just sit and looking
Sitting or
straight,
squatting?
or whatever squatting is.
Okay, squatting. Now, mind you, he's 5'11". When he goes to stand in the area where this thing's squatting, I can barely see his head. But they could see this thing. My daughter described it as having like a orangey looking hair. She said it was so dirty looking, like matted up. It looked like it had dreadlocks. Now, describe the facial features that you could see.
Well, it was a big head with a like reddish color hair, and I can see the big
There we go.
nose, the big nose, like real flat.
Jimmy,
Can you hear
my
him?
fault.
Yeah, he's talking about the face.
Yeah, he said his nose was just like real wide and like really, really flat. So I've tried to go and look up images that other people has had of Sasquatch to see, like, does this look like the black ones or whatever? And I'll tell you what, my daughter and he both says that it made them. It's too bright for you. He said they both said that it looks like. Do y'all remember the movie Labyrinth that David Bowie was in?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the creature Ludo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he says it had that eyebrow ridge. No horns. Obviously, we've never seen ears on any of them. But it had the eyebrow ridge and just the really flat, wide nose. But that's the closest thing in the eye area and the hair color that we can find to match what it looked like.
Okay, what we're looking at real quick while I got this on screen share is where she found the print, and then I will go on to the casting if I can. Let's see.
While you're doing that, I got something for Miss Amanda. Give me just.
Uh-oh. Be scared when you hear those words, girl.
Girl, I ain't scared. Plus it's snake tornado or heights. I ain't scared. Well,
There we go.
Now something growling
There
at
we
me,
go.
that does kind of scare me a little bit.
That is her cast. And that was after she went back the night after they got growled at and chased out, and she was flanked on both sides. And she could tell that it was bipedal. And I told her, I said, where there's one, there's others.
Can you show the one again where it's on the dirt?
On the dirt? Yep.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to figure out them toes.
She was doing the same thing. She was asking me about why that toe was so flat.
The big toe.
What?
The big toe looks so weird to
Nah.
me. Which
Cancel. Go back to the other one. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. I'm gonna mute myself because I talk.
Well, stop your screen share and throw mine up there. Look anything like that, Miss Amanda?
the redheaded one?
Yeah.
No, but that's somewhat the black ones look like a little bit, but not like that's not an exact depiction of what I've seen. No.
What about the nose?
Abel. Abel. Did its nose look like this to you? Come here. His nose just looked like it was mashed and like the nostrils were flared out. Will you come here and look at this picture? He's trying to find out if the nose on that red hair would look like this. And I know this is bright, so I'm going to turn my light off for just a second because it's bright to his precious little eyes. Okay. Do you see that nose?
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah, it was like that.
Because the only no tenía red hair.
He said it just had red hair.
Yeah.
And they said that it was, like they said it had more hair, like more facial hair.
It's almost like the way she described it to me when she was talking about, how they saw it and what him and her daughter said. It was like an orangutan. So it was kind of weird. Here, wait.
Orangutan?
No,
I mean, like
not
my daughter
orangutan.
said the hair.
Orangutan.
The big, tall one in China? Or
Yes.
No, that's
Okay.
That ring pendak is in the Philippines. The China is
It's Asian, one way or the other. There you go.
China
That's
is the gigantic carpet.
This is a-
Gigantopithecus.
gigantic.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't say it.
That
This is a right
that's what I
foot.
question that they came from.
See, I'm wondering
if you
if
kind of
the,
zoom in right there, if you zoom in, do you see that there's like a partial piece? Okay, there's like a rock on one side, and then there's a piece of a log right there.
that's why I'm thinking maybe the toes went further, and those little 4 bumps may be this kind of like a growth, kind of like the other ones in the middle of the foot. So maybe the foot is actually bigger. What do you think, Gary?
All I know is that's the next place she's taking me. I mean, I got my snake chips on. I'll go back through that, all that brush and whatever. I ain't worried about that. And I'm not going to run like Abel. Tell Abel I ain't going to be a little biatch.
She said I'm taking her out there, but she ain't gonna run like you.
Hey, nobody wants to get bit by a snake.
I ain't going to run for the
Well,
border, man.
I wasn't like that's
Taco
the
Bell?
funny thing. He could say I'm Mexican, I can run.
I could use some right now. Damn it, I'm hungry.
The only thing that I don't like out there though is when you go in. That I did not just pass gas. I promise. There is a freaking fat dog sitting right beside me that just kind of growled.
No,
If I did,
I think I
I'll-
sent Gary. Did I send you the fart today? I think I tried to send you the what she thought when I told you she taped the recorder to the tree and it's like this.
Yeah, but I don't think I got it.
I was like, oh my God, am I the first person to catch a Sasquatch fart?
No, there was a guy on my show that on one of my shows was talking about that.
Well, it wasn't like what you would expect from a Sasquatch, like a huge just womp. It was just it was like a petite little, and you're just sitting there going, "What the?" I mean, this
That
is
was
out in the
me.
middle
I
of
was like-
nowhere.
Maybe it was a lady squatch. She left the tribe.
She was being polite.
She said,
Yeah,
"I need to go check on the berries real quick. Let me go over there.
Minding her manners.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
over here by myself."
She got more manners than I do, let me tell you. Because yesterday I had to test my FLIR out. I just
That's how
wanted to know. Can you see body heat come
I
from
mean,
the body if you pass gas with a FLIR?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's got one of those, the scope
Like little
FLIRs, and it's like the one that starts basically the lowest of the line, and it's not bad.
It's
But
not
here we
great
are.
either.
Well, did it
We've
work?
got something. No, we've got something that's walking around up above us, and you can hear it going. I mean, it's definitely bipedal. We're sitting there talking. Even when we moved, it didn't spook and run off. It just stopped
Mhm.
moving, like a deer would. And I went up in that area, and then it started moving around below me, like it was circling me. And I mean, it was the kind of thing where you're sitting there going, damn it, man, and she's looking, I can't see nothing. I mean, she's got some, there's some good footage, or it looks pretty good in black and white, but not when it comes to thicket. And the heat signatures, they're, yeah, you get where the sun is hitting on the trees and stuff.
And the
It's
trees are
that
heated up,
lower
the
end.
ground's heated up,
Yeah,
everything's heated up. So unless
it's
you're
that lower
like
end
like right there in front of me and I put
right
it
there.
on, yeah,
Let me see
like
it
right
that
there
right
in front of
there.
me, and I have to put it on predator mode because sometimes I feel like a predator. But anyway, I could see my husband pretty good in the pine that he's like right there.
Mhm.
But when it got
Well, it's like
thick, you ain't see nothing. I
well,
mean, you're
it's
dead.
same thing I told you. This is what Gary told me. Whenever it comes to if there's a Sasquatch right there with you, where you're going to get a picture, there's going to be at least 2 layers of foliage between you. And when I say 2 layers, I'm not talking about like this. I'm talking spread out. He's going to
Yeah.
be so many feet back. And I mean, you know me, like yesterday, there is no, I cannot honestly find an explanation for the footsteps that we heard
Oh, and
because
that
we sat
weird
there and listened to it.
child sound.
That one freaked me out because I was just like, I mean, there's a kid giggling in the woods and we are all alone. We're on tribal lands. We know there's no hunters. We know there's no visitors because we were the only truck, that was parked there. And it was
It's weird because I totally had my
interesting.
phone recording. Like I looked at it and I looked down and I was, my phone was recording.
I just
And
can't believe I was stupid enough to hit my gallery button and not record the first 10 minutes of it when you hear it just like literally just kind of like pacing or whatever it was doing.
Well, I've got the pacing, so I will send you that. I do have the pacing, but the giggle thing is what blows my mind because I'm recording. And then I go to listen to try to find that spot because I remembered we were over by that creek.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go? It's like
that could have
it just
been
completely cut off and cut me back on when I told you that was too humanoid.
That could have easily been like ancestral.
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, considering the lands we were on and the fact that we were smudging because it did happen after we smudged.
Yeah.
Or no, it happened. It happened right before.
It was before.
No. Yeah, it was right before we smudged. You had already done something, but I mean, we both had our talismans on us. We both kind of paid homage to the land in a certain way with our silence. You
And
know, you're talking about your elder.
Yeah, that passed away.
Yeah, that passed away, and I stood back away from you, and I just connected. And that's why I was telling you, like, if when we go back out to your sister's, we're not going to rush into the brush. We're going to kind of kick back. We're going to sit down and we're going to like just let our vibe go. Gary, Big Dog, when I tell you, I think, when we were talking about the show about being zapped and stuff, and I said, I don't know if if I'm getting zapped or if it's just my body's so used to the seizure feeling. If y'all remember that show. Yesterday, as we were walking along this path, and we're just talking, and, we're listening for anything that might happen, this whole tingling sensation came over my body. And it wasn't like being zapped. It was kind of like Yeah, I mean, if you imagine like the futuristic movies where they have the little X-ray that goes up and down, it shows your skeleton, whether you have arms or or side arms, something embedded in you, whatever. It kind of felt like that. It was like they were checking me out to see if I was cool. And after that, didn't feel a thing. Did not feel any kind of aggression. I could feel being watched at certain times, but then of course it was like they got bored with us. But then they'd come back. And there was
Well,
definitely, I want to say we had at least 3 around us simply because of the fact that whatever this juvenile, it was not, I can guarantee it wasn't an adult because it was very, very small footsteps, very small strides. It was not a human because we're sitting there looking. And this is on tribal lands. You know, if you walk straight up that hill, you still go right onto the tribal lands and there's nobody there. And for the fact that it snuck around, I mean, no human is that stealth unless there's Navy SEAL, Special Forces, God rest y'all, or, God bless all those. But, I mean, this thing was stealth.
Well,
and it made it
two,
from the top of that ridge down to the bottom. And the time that I made it to the top and it started circling, I was like, damn it. I turned around and looked at her and I said, girl, it's below me. I said, do you see anything? And she was like, no. And had it been a deer, it should have been spooked. Had it been a hog, it would have charged. And I mean, there was no
and I
4
would have
feet.
been
It
right
was
there.
definitely bipedal. It was definitely
The
bipedal.
weird thing was too, if you remember, you stayed a little ways behind me, and I'm just singing out loud, and you
Mhm.
heard. I didn't hear it. Remember, because I can't hear over my own loud mouth.
Your singing outweighed it also on my recorder. That's why, I'm happy that this little thing came in because now we can set it somewhere and we can wander around and get all the sounds around us. She was sitting there. She was singing a beautiful song, beautiful, beautiful Native American song, and I mean, from back over my right shoulder, I heard this whole whack. Sounded like Babe Ruth hitting a home run. And I mean, she kept walking, and I kept walking with her. And then she finally stopped and turned around and looked at me. And I was like, did you hear that? And she was like, no, what? And I was like, there was like a massive, wood knock back behind us. And she's like, I didn't hear it because I was singing too loud. And last night when I went back over my stuff, of course, I caught her singing, but I didn't catch,
The whack.
actual wood knock. I didn't catch it, which
Yeah.
it sounded loud to me. It may not have been as loud as I imagined or thought it was, but I mean, when you're out in the woods and your adrenaline's pumping and you do have something going on, like I said, with somebody walking around you or something, you're like, everything to you is just, and unfortunately,
you get
we
in
did.
tune.
Yeah, but and I did tell Gary, we unfortunately had the noise pollution from the interstate,
Yeah.
and then the wind was blowing a lot, but there was no mistaking the footsteps. These were like chump, chump, in the dead leaves.
Well, I do have that, so I do have that recorded.
We'll have to, like I said, we'll get all that. Bring all your stuff over. We'll get it all uploaded on the computer, set it out, make a CD or whatever, and we'll get that going. We are heading up on about an hour and 30 minutes. You got something else?
Yeah, the other weird thing was where you kind of see those weird sticks laying up there, and we walked up that ridge, and all of a sudden there's just this one burned stick.
Yeah,
laying
that was kind of weird.
A log. Don't know where did that come from? Where did that one burned? It was like a really thick stick that had a point like that on the end of it, just laying on a log, and it's pointing directly toward the creek. And I was telling her that kind of reminds me of our Native American marker trees, because that's what they would do. They would either point to a pathway that you're supposed to follow, or they would always lead water. And so I thought, well, that's kind of weird because I mean, I looked all around for another tree that, looking for a tree that was burned, struck by lightning, something.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like forked. And it was
Yeah.
just out there in the middle of nowhere where there was nothing else burned. And, I mean, and I even asked her, I said, do y'all have, with all these waterways and stuff, I said, do y'all have to clear out beaver dams on a regular? And she was like, no. We never have problems with beavers. So I don't
No,
know why we
it's
lost Gary, my guru.
no, because that water is actually from an underground spring, so
But
it
still,
comes up.
any kind of flowing water, if a
Right.
beaver wants to, yeah, they'll do it. But I mean, there's
But you
obviously no beaver
seen,
in that area. I didn't
right.
even see 2 trees.
Yeah, because
I mean,
I took you to like the majority of the water there where it's like we could have went down just a little bit further, but you seen how it started getting drier and drier as we went down.
oh well, I
Eh,
told you, I already want to go down to see where those holes
the
are.
ground
Hmm.
rock. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that next time. And oh my God, I was so mad at you for having a doctor's appointment today because it was a much more warmer and beautiful day. We didn't have the wind.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
and that
I
crevice,
hate her.
the crevice that he's in, and he's like, Nana, I see a face in here. I see a mask. And I'm thinking he's saying, I see a bat. And I'm like, I know you ain't about to grab no bat with the coronavirus going on. But
Abel's
anyway,
number one hits goes with, oh no, it's like easy like Sunday morning.
yeah, but he's in the crevice at the top of the waterfall. And he crawls up in there. It's not a mask. There's 2
No,
rocks. It's
it's
got
not.
these
It's
funny little things. And he's like
her
telling me,
husband's hilarious.
eyeball. But he's showing, but you can shimmy further on
Big
into
dog.
that.
I'm gonna find a way to get you that tape of when he like does grunts and he gets the response, and I'm talking he hauls ass. It's like, and then there's a call in the distance, and it's like, and I mean, all you see is grass.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it was. Like I said, I thought she was like, messing with me, doing a parody or something, and she was like, "No, girl, he heard that, he hauled ass." I was like,
Yeah.
No, because we
"All
were
right."
hearing the screaming, and he was just saying, I'm gonna go get it. So I'm whispering to him, and I said, you wanna go get it? Go get it. Go down that hill, take my phone, go get it. Well, it didn't take him long to get back up that hill. And when he's running, me and my sister are like already hearing this happen. And I got to send you that still. I couldn't get it last night. And we're like down on our knees like this, just like peeking through, trying to find us a spot to see through what's on the other side. And we had a rock thrown at us as we were on our way out that day, or that
Yeah, we
evening.
did. We did. Well, we had one too. Remember,
Yeah.
I told you I heard that little plop right in the It was right after we passed the bridge, and we started walking to get our backpacks because we had left them on that platform. And I was like, "Did you hear that?" And you were like, "Kinda. What was it?" And I was like, "There was like a plop. It was a dead-on
Yeah.
plop in the water, like a
Well,
stone."
Well, this one
But
with
I
my
mean,
sister was very loud, and she looks at me, she's like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "I don't know, let's go." But, before we even found the print or anything, we heard something. And my sister is probably more stupid than I am, but I'm just not as scared as she is about stuff. But we start hearing this movement in the bush, and I tell him, I was like, "You go this way," and he's got the rifle, and I've got a pistol. My sister's standing down here below us, and I'm like, "You go flush. I'll come in this way and flush it that way." My sister's standing down there saying, "Girl, don't be flushing it to me. And what am I gonna do? Hit it in the head with
hit
this
it with my
plaster?"
bucket. I heard that. Well, look,
You're the
guys,
bait.
we are hitting an hour and a half. Amanda, Mandy, I greatly appreciate you coming on. We'll probably have you come back on after me and you have some more adventures, and hopefully can come up with some more evidence,
Okay.
more tracks, and
And don't
whatnot.
and don't forget, I've already got permission. We can camp on the tribal lands.
Yes. Oh, you did get the permission. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, cool.
We
Yeah.
are going. We are going to be camping right outside the dance circle. We can't go in the dance circle. She smudged me yesterday, like the same way they would to bless someone to go into the dance circle, but nope.
You don't go in it unless we're having
We don't go.
ceremony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But there's places around there. So
She said she would unlock the kitchen for me so we could get in to cook. She said she would unlock the bathrooms for me so we can get
oh
showers.
honey,
And
oh
they've
what?
got little.
Oh, did you ask her about like a little fire or something?
No, I haven't got to ask her about that, but there's like little places to plug stuff up out there. So I will be plugging mattress or not my mattress, my electric blanket up. And
Oh,
all
my
I gotta
mattress
say,
will be hooked up, and I'll put a heat. We ain't going if it's cold. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
oh, we're going in cold.
My old bones will not wait.
But
They will
but
not
if we get
move.
listen, if we get one of those little heaters that's just like blowing heat, the
Yeah,
hot air out, I think those kind of heaters will be good in the tent.
we'll find a weekend when it's gonna be like like 49, 50 at night, 70 during the day, because it's
She's
coming.
talking about the
It's
spring.
Alabama winter. No, this is we just had a week like that. This is Alabama.
Girl, I was
Remember
looking
that?
at like in the next couple of weeks.
All right, I'm sure we'll have a day like that, but one way or the other, yeah, we'll get it together. We'll get it together definitely. We'll come back with some really good footage
Maybe
for the show.
something.
Yeah, I'll bring more cameras. I'm gonna have that GoPro, and then I'll bring my other
Oh,
cameras too.
and this week my parabolic dish comes in.
Well,
Cool.
Yeah.
now we have this where we can actually set it somewhere, and we can
Okay.
step away from it, sit back and talk, and if something starts walking around, we'll get something clear. So,
Yeah,
and also I can put this out. And if my wolves start howling or chattering with something, I can possibly find out what the hell they're chattering with. So,
yeah,
but
that's cool, man. Good luck, guys. I guess the
Big
best thing to
Dog,
do is just act like you guys ain't looking for it, and it'll come.
That's
that's
what I
what
It'll get
normally
curious.
do.
like
That's
I
what
was walking
I
forward.
do.
Yeah, I was
I,
walking forward with my phone, and she kind of had hers over her shoulder. And next time, I think what we're gonna do is with my GoPro, I've got the chest strap for it. I'm gonna rig it to my backpack, so
Yeah.
it's recording behind me.
That's what I do is try not to
And
make it so obvious.
well,
It's like
yeah,
I try to
I
like
just
Gary
record behind me.
Gary also had don't ask me what this is doing on my desk, but Gary had an idea like with a walking stick to mount a phone here, so you could be walking with it like that, and like if you hear something you can kind of do this or
yeah,
whatever, and it's not obvious that you're pointing a
yeah,
recording. If you hear something in the trees, you
Hey,
can kind of be like that, so there's
yeah.
I
several
know.
different
We could tape. I
options.
could tape my phone because my stick mine's the prayer stick that has a feather on top. The
I don't
feather
want
could
you to mess up your
totally.
prayer stick.
It won't.
You
That's what
scared
it's
me yesterday
for.
with trying to do the wood knocks
No,
with your prayer stick. I mean, I broke my snake stick.
girl, that prayer stick ain't breaking.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and say goodnight to our last person in the audience. We lost everybody, but I'll be sending. I'll put this out for other people to watch. Mandy, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for taking me out to the tribal lands yesterday. I enjoyed it. I had a blast. It was beyond rejuvenating to my soul. Big Dog, I love you. You
Yeah, thanks
Mexican
for having me on. Thanks for having me on, and I enjoyed the
yeah,
story you told. It was pretty interesting.
yeah,
Well, all I can do is tell you it's my truth. That's all it is.
yeah. And we'll get more on it. I know we've got the other Amanda that was on earlier. Once they've got business stuff going on and whatnot, but we're going to have her on because that's another investigation that's going to happen. It just seems like all sorts of stuff. It's popping up. It's maybe 2021 will be the year of Squatch.
Maybe.
So look,
Heck yeah.
give it to the big guy.
He doesn't get.
There we go.
He doesn't.
I'll
What
be
are you
like
talking about?
look.
I think I got that.
The big guy right here. I am a forecaster.
You're saying give
See?
it to the big guy? He done gave it to me. Remember?
Oh yeah. Oh God. Look, we're cutting off there. We gonna cut off there. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for joining us for our first show back for 2021. I guarantee you it's going to be a wild year because we are all getting back out in the woods now. We're doing more stuff. We're actually going to be doing some traveling, those of us that are capable of it. And we're gonna do some investigations. You're gonna see some stuff. It could be either a how-to video. If you don't care about that and you think you know everything, fine. Don't care. IDGAF. But if you want to pay attention, hey. I mean, she even Mandy was asking me because she was worried about that cast not drying. And I told her, I said, build yourself a little Dutch oven. I said, I always carry me like a little bit of charcoal. and some foil. Make you a little bowl, put it next to it, put some rocks around the cast, and then cover it with foil. Let that heat just soak in there, but let air out so it doesn't like come out of black cast. But it'll help it, warm up, or it'll help it set a little bit quicker, so you're not sitting out there in the middle of the night waiting, especially during these months. So there's a lot of tricks everybody can learn, and I mean, none of us know everything. None of us
No,
ever
I mean, the
will.
baby powder thing was an excellent idea. Thank you. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought about that.
You did a good job with it too. I like those
So,
pictures. I should have showed those tonight, but like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for coming on again, Big Dog. I thank Amanda G and of course my production guru and co-host Gary. Excuse me, that one got caught in my throat. We will see you guys again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is Ashley Jacobs from the Central Alabama Bigfoot Research Organization with Expeditions for Answers, and we will see y'all soon.